Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to this reading for the new moon in Aries that we're having on the 17th of April, 2026, around 7:51 Eastern Standard Time. So take that time differential into consideration when you're trying to figure out what time this new moon is happening for you. Look at where 27 degrees of Aries is in your chart, and you'll find some more information as far as how this new moon is transiting your birth chart. Also, I want to say, I know that I normally bring up the chart, but honestly, this new moon itself, the moon itself is not making any aspects to anything except for that conjunction with Chiron. And that's really the most important thing that we can focus on. All right, now Chiron is still in Aries, obviously, because it's conjunct this new moon, but it is in that last decan of degrees at 26 degrees of Aries. It will ingress into Taurus come June. Let me get the exact day for you here. Hold on. It is the 20th. On the 20th, it will ingress at 0 degrees of Taurus. So this is kind of like our last opportunity, I want to say, especially with this new moon activating Chiron, to heal the identity, right? The archetype of Aries is who we are at the core of our being. It's the pioneer archetype, the fire starter, right? So where are we needing to heal those parts of that archetype in order to fully understand who we are, and in order to fully understand our independence, our willpower, our drive, our need to go headfirst into searching, our need for fresh starts, new beginnings. This really does. I mean, obviously, we talk about the spring equinox being at the center focus and the energy of starting the new cycle, but I also always look at the new moon in Aries and how that kind of affects the theme of the whole year. And being that this new moon in Aries, again, is not really making any direct aspects, sorry, I dropped my phone, to anything else, there's still a lot going on between Mercury and Venus and Mars and Saturn, especially that half square that Venus is having with Mars and Saturn. So, as an overall theme, if we're trying to heal the wounded warrior archetype, the astrology is asking us, the horoscope of this new moon is asking us to make sure that when we have this wound or fear of asserting ourselves, of knowing when we need to be aggressive, of knowing when we need to go head first, of knowing when we need to be that pioneer, then essentially we're stopping our own self-growth, right? This new moon is asking you to plant those seeds, to set those intentions, to be proud of yourself, okay? To take care of yourself, to honor your self-identity, to not hold back, to be courageous, to be the first, right? To start new things. Don't be scared to start new things, and don't feel as if it's your wound that you're carrying to the point where you cannot heal it. That's my point, right? Because Chiron wounds are wounds that occurred without, out of our control. These are things that no matter what we do, it was going to happen either way. So we have to kind of take that into consideration and make sure that we're not holding ourselves back and feeling like we're not worthy of being ourselves, or we're not worthy of starting new things, or we're not worthy of the mission, the duty, the honor, right, that Aries tends to seek. And if we do come across any imposing problems when it comes to relationships, when it comes to responsibilities, when it comes to, again, anything that we might consider our own personal missions, then we have to know, okay, how do we think? How do we talk? How do we operate, right? How do we take action? What do we do on a daily basis? What do we do? And how is that affecting all of those things? And can we not beat ourselves up, right? Can we not be our own worst enemy, but be our own best supporter? Because remember, Aries doesn't think, it just does. It just does. It feels it. It says, yep, I want that. I need that. Gotta have that. I'm going for it. That's Aries energy. Now, could that be self-destructive? Yes. Could that, hinder relationships? Absolutely. But the wound here is don't second guess yourself. Trust yourself. Have that courage, have that bravery, and go for it. Okay? All right, let's see. Let's see what the cards have to say. For this new moon in Aries, for the collective, please. All right, we have nothing will come of this situation. Void off course moon. That's literally what's happening, right? This new moon is making no aspect. Well, not again. Technically, it's conjunct Chiron, but it's making no other aspects. Have faith in your dreams. Waxing crescent moon. I kind of love that combination together. If nothing is coming out of something, if nothing is happening, or seemingly nothing is happening, first of all, there's a lot of other things going on with the astrology for that, but if it looks like nothing is happening, and Mercury's conjunct Neptune, right, during this new moon, have faith in your dreams. Have positive, optimistic, self-assuring, because this is Aries energy, self-assuring thoughts to empower yourself. This is about empowerment, not about lack of faith in self. Lack of faith in self. Believe that you can achieve goals. Believe that you can go for things, even if it looks like on the surface that nothing is happening. All right? Even if those negative thoughts come up that says, "Oh, here it is, it's point proven. This is why nothing's happening. Look at that. You suck. You failed. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough," right? That's Aries, right? You're not strong enough. You're not powerful enough. You're not worthy enough. When those thoughts come up, you have to refocus, recenter, and say, this is just a deep old wound that came from somewhere, right? That was out of my control. But it does not mean that it needs to rule my life. This is about rulership with Aries. What rules your life? Okay? Are they positive thoughts or are they negative thoughts? Again, that conjunction with Mercury and Neptune can be great, but it can also be like getting lost in your head, getting lost in your thoughts. And again, that half square with Venus to Mars and Saturn. Mars, we got to look at what Mars is doing. Mars is having that applying conjunction with Saturn as well. Okay? Why are we looking at Mars? Well, because Aries is ruled by Mars. And because Mars is conjunct Saturn, this is too hard. Wanting to give up. Having a lack of energy. Right? But also, again, losing a sense of self in responsibility, in pressure, in limitations. Sorry if I pause, it's because I'm still sick, so I'm going to be coughing. So don't lose that power, that sense of self when things get too hard. It's true tests of strength. Mars conjunct Saturn, okay? Also, the time that you want to spend on, well, okay, apparently on hunger. What's on the bottom of the deck? Faith. Again, faith. You see how everything's kind of matching up? So the cards so far are being pretty straightforward about, what are you hungry for? What do you desire? What do you want to go after? And do you have that faith to follow through with that, right? Because even during the last significant lunar cycle, meaning the full moon in Libra that we had, we still had that sextile between Uranus and Neptune. And I think that is opening up kind of a doorway or a window of opportunity for us to make sure that we are following on those dreams. And again, believing in them. Actually, you know what? There is a difference between belief and faith. And I do say this sometimes. With belief, you need evidence, right? It's almost like the seeing is believing thing. But with faith, you know deep down. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on the surface. You know deep down. And where does faith start? With the self. You have to be able to trust yourself and believe in yourself and have faith in yourself. I keep fixing myself on that because I don't want to say believe. You have to have faith in yourself and heal the self before anything else can happen, right? I mean, I know that it sounds like common sense, right? But we need that reminder. Look at that 5 of Pentacles when I'm talking about this. I cut it there. You can't, abandon yourself. You have to love and support yourself before you can see what's really going on. Because then you're just going to keep blaming yourself, right? New Moon in Aries for the collective, please. 7 of Swords. 2 more. Two more cards, please. For this new moon in Aries. With the 7 of Swords, I do... it's interesting because that is a sneaky little warrior. But he's still a warrior. I'm not getting that sense, right? I'm not getting like a being sneaky to be evil or have, some kind of ill intention. But sneaky, I mean, as in being a thief, like a calculated thief. What the hell does that mean, Gigi? All right. What I'm seeing is you needing to do what you need to do at this time with the 7 of Swords. Silent moves are still powerful moves. We don't have to tell everybody, right? We don't have to announce to the world if we're doing every single thing. So I don't know why, but I'm getting this sense like during this new moon in Aries, you're going to be shown how to move strategically, all right, through things. And Aries can be a good strategist, right? The Aries archetype can be really good with strategy. What is your strategy? Do you need to do things in a quiet, reserved kind of way? Reserved, that's a good word. I'm not trying to say that you need to be, sneaky, but you keep it to yourself, kind of, for now. Where do you need to move some stuff around? Okay. Where do you need to play with, your options, your choices? Where do you need to be a little bit more flexible? While Aries is a cardinal energy, it does not like to be that flexible sometimes. So do you need to be more flexible to take the next step? Because you see this progression, 2 of Pentacles, 3 of Pentacles. Are you doing things in a way that supports the fact that there are skills and talents that you have that are special, that are unique to you? Again, right? This is about you. This new moon Aries says you. Your life, your thoughts, your desires. Nobody else. You. And self-proclamation too. And I know that sometimes that can come across as wrong, but it's not. That's the thing. And that's why that Chiron conjunction to this new moon is really significant. There's nothing wrong with pride, with strength in self, with support in self. People, talk about being selfish as a bad thing, but sometimes it's not a bad thing. That's what Aries can teach us. It's not a bad thing to be selfish sometimes. Sometimes it's very needed, right? To not be the people pleaser, to not always say yes to everybody else, to not always care about everybody else. That's Aries. So while partnerships and teamwork and collaboration are great, what about you? There is definitely something here about this new moon putting you in a position to make decisions. And maybe, making some cuts some places. Let's see. What else for this new moon in Aries? This new moon in Aries. It's Two of Pentacles. See, there's there's Aries. Literally Aries energy right there. Three of Pentacles. I said making some cuts, and there's the Eight of Cups. It's that typical, in order to start, you have to end. Right? Can't have a beginning without an ending. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of healing of the self to say, this is emotionally empty. I don't feel the same way about this anymore. I'm not getting anything out of this. And it takes a lot of guts to say, in the most, positive, selfish way that says, this isn't good enough for me anymore. It's just not up to my standards. I have raised my standards. I have increased the rent, right? And let's take that in a literal sense. Sometimes, especially if you own your own business, right? Or if you work for yourself. But maybe not even that. Maybe just in any work situation. It takes a lot of guts to say, I deserve more. I deserve more money. I deserve more pay. I deserve more benefits, whatever, right? What about in a relationship, in a romantic sense? I deserve more affection. I deserve more time. I deserve more love, whatever, right? With health, if you're dealing with a doctor who's not listening or something, right? I deserve more answers. I deserve more attention. This is me. This is my body. Help me, right? And if you won't, I will be selfish and I will cut ties. I will say goodbye. No matter how many cups I've invested, I can still say goodbye. Because you're hungry for more, right? There's that part of Aries that says it's okay to be selfish and say, I want more. Aries, ruled by Mars. The desire, the true desire. To act, to create, to do. To start new beginnings. Fresh starts, clean slates, to get excited about new adventures. Okay? I know we always tend to look at Sagittarius as the adventurer. It is, that's the archetype of that. But Aries also has that adventurous side. Sometimes it's just to conquer it, just to say that it's conquered it, but it's still adventurous. So what new beginnings do you need to conquer at this time? It's a good new moon for that. New moons generally are a good time in the month to really look back at the last month and be like, okay, what did I set the intention for last month? Did I get all that stuff done? If you didn't, okay, do I still want that? Right? Do I still want that? I got the advice a while ago from someone, and I think it's good advice to kind of relay right now, all right? If you want something right now, but you're not sure, wait a few days. And if you still want it in a few days, then you know that you actually want it. But if you've changed your mind in a few days, then maybe it was just a fleeting thing. You know what I mean? Now, I know that patience is not a virtue of Aries, but you can. Because there's something here with this Four of Cups of, one, stubbornness, which can come with Aries. But two, learning how to work through accepting what you know is the hand of God, whatever that means to you. This is the hand of God giving you an Ace of Cups. Okay? Accepting true emotional fulfillment. A new beginning in that. It's an ace. You have the 3, but it's not enough. This is, he has his arms crossed in the Four of Cups for a few reasons. Sometimes it's like, okay, where are you closing yourself off, right? Again, where are you being stubborn to accepting something? Where are you rejecting something? Should you be rejecting it? But it could also be a sense of boredom and apathy, or just no emotion at all. Looking at those 3 cups that you have and being like, yeah, I need more. I want more. It's satiating a deep hunger, again, that you won't beat yourself up over, or you won't deny yourself of it, simply because there's a wound there that says, remember that one time where that thing happened that was out of your control? Hercules hitting Chiron in the knee with a poison arrow. But Chiron being immortal, he can't die, so he lives in constant pain. Chiron. The pain is always going to be there. How do you process that? How do you live through it, with it? And not deny yourself when you realize something's just got to be more, wanting more. Ironically, Jupiter's making nothing as well. Jupiter's making no aspects. The planet of more and expansion. But Jupiter's in Cancer still. There's that hunger and that desire. With all these 3 cards together, well, all these 6 cards together, let's say it this way, right? There's one more message. When it comes to the exchange, the giving and receiving, okay, are there certain people, places, and things where you find you have to either be a little bit too flexible, or you have to force yourself to be flexible, force yourself to compromise? Because it's interesting. These are kind of like cards, especially with the King of Swords, of being direct, being firm, being clear in your decisions. Be decisive. Be firm. Also Aries, right? Be assertive. With relationships, peoples, and places and things, right? The relationships with those things and places and people. Be assertive. And don't waver too much. But also don't hold yourself back. The balance between those two, I think, is very important with these cards together. Okay? So, at the end of the day, use this new moon to heal that wounded warrior archetype. If you want to go deeper, you can book a personal reading with me, and the website is in the description box. There's plenty of other readings on the channel if you want to check those out. Otherwise, thank you for tuning in. I do hope that this helped, and I will see you in the next one.